So I started blogging and stuff, and then writing funny poems and stuff when I was in high school. And I'm like, maybe there's something there, because I kept getting these hits from Argentina. But Argentina was my biggest fan, so I'm like, I don't know, playing his music did that in our ears, I don't know. But anyway, so I went into, I was in automotive engineering, but my dad was in PR. I really liked working with people, and I realized that this was an opportunity where, and there's like kind of a topic where they said that if there's a large group of people, marketers tend to ruin it. So if you think about like a store or something like that with a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people that you can market to and hand out things. And what I noticed that social media is a one big audience. It's a huge amount of people. And so I was like, this is interesting. And what kind of tipped me over to go to social media is when I got added on Facebook by a club. So this club promoter, or this actual club, a venue, added me on Facebook and said, come to our events. I'm like, why would a club want me to go to their events? I'm studying, but I see your point. So they kept like badgering me, and I realized that businesses are connecting with people. And this is not like a newspaper ad, or this is not like a billboard where the people can't, engage with that advertisement. This is like a business is contacting me about me going to their business. So it was a two-way street. And that was the first time I realized that like social media could be pretty big. So when I was applying for jobs and co-ops and stuff like that, I went to a tire garage, which was like the automotive side of it, but then I applied for a marketing position. And I convinced the company that social media was the next biggest thing. And we were in Port Credit, Ontario, in the industrial part of town, so there was nothing around us. So leading up to that, I realized that I'm like, this is cool. I get to learn about a lot of marketing stuff while I'm there. And there's a weird mishap with my bosses where the actual boss of the company divorced the financial person of the company. They split, and then my boss took over the finances. And so I was left doing marketing for the whole company. And like 2 months in, and I had no marketing background. So that was fun. And then he's like, above that, he's like, oh, I'm going to move to Ottawa. So not only he's not there, but he's not there. Yeah, I had to Skype with him, and he Skyped with me 10 minutes every week. So I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, just chill out, this is what you do, blah, blah, blah. And he sent it off. See you next Monday. So I was like, and I couldn't ask, and I was a tire guy, so they don't know. And it went on and on and on. But then I started reading about ebooks. I started reading ebooks, PDFs. I went on slideshows that people made called SlideShare. And I read that. I went on Scribed, which is a great place where people upload PDFs of whatever. And so I started reading these ebooks all day, every day. And I started learning about the different pillars of what marketing is. And everyone thinks that, like, with social media, you're supposed to read social media books. But really, you're not, because the pillars of what marketing is communications, advertising, and like basically visuals. And you bring all those together. So I know a lot of people talk about social media and they read social media books, but if the other things are not strong, then it's going to bring them to the house. So I started, so after that, I went to another job, but I went for a real estate job in social media, a specific job in social media. And so when I was doing that, what happened, my school didn't really like that because I was an automotive engineer. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, I wanted to go in real estate social media. And so I submitted my job at the last day where you're supposed to submit your job. So what happened was I stiff-armed them because they couldn't say I couldn't go with the job, they just let it happen. And so I actually was able to continue with that job. And so I learned a lot about social media in that way because I was the person at the table typing and then like behind the screen, and everyone else would work and bring back work to me because they didn't want to invest a lot of money because I was only there for 8 months. So when I was there for 8 months, they piled on the work to me, and I got it through, and I learned all the inner workings of the company. So I had a boss, and he taught me what to do. I had another boss, taught me what to do that way. And I was sick and tired because one day he had a Jeep. My boss had a Jeep, and it was a nice Jeep. I like Jeeps. And he's like, I'm gonna get a new car. I was like, another Jeep? And he's like, no, an Audi. I was like, why? So I realized that I was working and slaving and behind a screen, and I realized that because he was getting an Audi and I was kind of doing all the work, there was a bit of an unbalance. And so I'm like, I want an Audi. So I started a company basically the same time that he said that. So the next day, I started my company called 2 Social. And 2 Social, it was originally with 2 people, and then she dropped out. She was a photographer, and she's like, I have to work at a golf course in Mississauga, see you later. So now it's 2 Social just with me. And so I was like, hopefully there's an opportunity where I partner with someone, or else the loneliest company in the world. So when I started 2 Social, I literally went to an event, and I went with a group of friends who were students, and I was trying to find clients because they already had clients. I was working with their clients. I needed my own clients. So I went to an event, and instead of me telling people I was a student and I was at a co-op, I told people, oh yeah, I run this great social media company called 2 Social. You guys should, do you have social media? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, we should get in touch. And that's how I got my first client. I literally went to the next person I saw, and I said, who does your social media? And then I started doing their social media, which turned into her boyfriend that she was talking to at the time. And then he's like, do you need to do websites? Do you guys do websites? We're like, yeah, sure. I was like researching how to do a website, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I would go cry and read and try it, and it doesn't work. I stayed up all night. I was like, yeah, I can get it done in a week, whatever. So I started with that, and then it kind of branched on. So I was building a portfolio, and I did the first job for free because I wanted to build it up. I wanted to get my name out there. And I tried to pick companies that were up and coming, were tastemakers, were hit makers. So when I was doing that, I started accumulating that people wanted more than just social media. They wanted, because a lot of people didn't want to pay for social media because you can kind of do it yourself. And they have this idea that, oh, I signed up for Facebook, I'm on Facebook all the time, I can do it for my company, no problem. And then I'm like, well, can you do a website yourself then? And then it's like, well, no. Can you do it? Well, you could, but it may not be as great as it should be. So after that, I realized that I needed to start creating value. And it's not, people wouldn't pay for just social media, so I had to add other services. And blogging was the next biggest service, writing. And so I loved writing, and so I said, I'll write all your blog posts, I'll do all of this. And they said, great, because I can't do that. So all of a sudden they went from, I can do that, to I can't do that, and I need your help. So that was kind of a great kind of opportunity for me. And so leading into the kind of 3 points that I wanted to cover here, basically how I started was personal branding. Because I basically lived on Twitter for the first kind of 2 years of my business. I lived on it. I was trying to see what people needed, what people wanted, and I was slowly kind of benchmarking my company to other ones in the States. Because if you go to San Fran or New York, their companies and how they grow and their ideas are way far past what we can do right now. We can do it in 2 years, 3 years, but we can't do what they're doing now. They have whole campuses of Facebook people and stuff like that. That's crazy. So I benchmarked my stuff to San Fran. I benchmarked my stuff to New York, and I realized that nobody was really doing any social media company, or there's no social media companies, or maybe 1 or 2 at that point in Hamilton and Toronto. So I realized that there's an opportunity, and it's exactly like a website. So if you have a website company and they have a website already, but you can make it better, you can pitch that. If they don't have a website, you could pitch that. If you think that it's being managed poorly, you can pitch that. And it's the same thing with social media. If they don't have social media, I could pitch that. If they have a really bad social media, I could pitch that. Or I can work with them to improve it. So all of a sudden, those 3 options gave me 3 opportunities. And I became kind of the person continually talking about social media to my friends and my family, thinking it's the next big thing, and saying it's the next big thing. So when I was doing personal branding, I started talking about my weaknesses and thinking about my strengths. Because my strengths weren't marketing. My strengths were social media. And I couldn't fool anybody. If somebody says, well, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, no. So I need to know where my boundaries were. So when it comes to social media, a lot of people didn't know about it, so you had to educate them. So when it comes to personal branding, it's all about perception, and it's all about education. So when somebody's coming up to you and says, you know, I need social media, but I don't think I need it. I can do Facebook myself, but no problem. That's a negative. That's a problem, and you have to find a solution for it. And you have to give the perception that it's exactly what they need for their company, and knowledge will back that up. Knowledge will take your facts that say 50% of the businesses out there are using social media, and your competitors are too. Here's a list of your competitors, and this is what I found out about them. And they're using it, you're not, so you're gonna get canned in 5 years. So it's all about like perception, and in a way that you have to appear to be their next solution to their problem. And like when it comes to building your own stuff, like you're building your own personal brand, you should ask people what comes to mind when it comes to your name or how you dress or something. Because all of a sudden, like if I dress a certain way, I'll be taken care of that way. And when I went to luxury events, when I started this magazine, I had to, this one guy who I respect for doing this, he's like, you're coming to these events dressed like that? I was like, yeah, because I let my magazine speak for myself. And I was kind of like confident, blah, blah, blah. But then he said, well, your brand is an extension of you. So do you really want to go to these events dressed like that, selling the opposite thing? I said, you got a point there. So when it comes to building your personal brand, when it comes to how you dress and stuff, is that what you want to convey to the audience? Is that what you want to convey to the opposite person to show your expertise? Like if you have a very, very creative brand, you shouldn't dress like it's, black and white. You should dress to your creativity. You should dress to kind of say, I'm a fun company, and they say, yeah, I can see that. Because in their brain, they're thinking that. They're thinking, are you a fun company considering you're fun online? So if you have a website or you have a blog, and you kind of extend that and you give them a business card, it's all creative and fun and exciting, are you like that too? Or are you kind of more conservative? And conservative also works too if you're dealing with conservative companies. Or if you're a fun company and you notice that a conservative brand is not being their best, then you can pitch the fun side and kind of get opposites. So it's all about knowing your audience in that way and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So if I could get a volunteer, anybody want to? I promise it's cool. Cool. Welcome. Come on. Welcome to the stage, I guess. I don't know.
Georgia.
What's your name?
Jen.
Jen. Steve.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, so Jen here is one of your classmates. Say hi.
Hi, Jen.
Woo!
Jen, what are let's say 2 interests of yours? Let's say like things that you like, hobbies or
We
just
can hear
general.
what you are, like graphic design.
Oh, like I'm a hairdresser.
Hairdresser, cool.
And obviously graphic design.
Great. And is there any kind of interest that you like or hobby that you like?
Maybe like I scuba dive in my free time.
There you go. Did you guys know that?
Yep.
Oh, you did? Cool. Then you branded yourself as a good idea. So Jen,
Zebras.
Zebras?
Oh, I love zebras.
Cool. So like,
And the color pink.
and the color pink. So these are all things that kind of bring her brand like to surface level, right? And some of them are visual, and some of them have to be conveyed through like speech and auditory. So when it comes to building a brand like Jen, I mean, you love all these different things like zebras and the color pink and stuff. You can incorporate that in your own personal brand to make you different. So if there's me, who's a hairstylist and stuff like that, and Jen, if you're gonna go to like a salon, let's say, who would you pick if you're going with a fun look? Probably Jen. If you want a really bad haircut. So that's the thing is if you want to differentiate yourself. So everyone was like, hey, do you know, like if you're at a party, I always think about social media as a cocktail party. So if you try to explain something, it's like, oh, you know that person in our class, pink hair, zebra glasses, that's your brand. That's how people kind of, if you didn't have a name or somebody says, oh yeah, I saw her, she's I know exactly who you're talking to, then that's your brand. So if you're being recognizable and without mentioning your name, then that's how you can get your brand out there a lot quicker. So if you dress a certain way, oh, you know that person always wears like blue and like really bright stuff. It's like, oh yeah, that's Carol or something like that. So that's a way for you to differentiate yourself. So you can sit down if you want. So give her a hand.
How would you do that on social media?
So what's that?
How would you do that on social media? Portray that without, it's not visual, right?
Absolutely. So what you're putting out to the audience, what you're putting out to people, is also part of your brand. It's also part of who you are as a person. So if you start tweeting about things that were really, really serious, and responding to this in a very, very serious way, and you have a bright, pink wallpaper, and you have like these Instagram pictures that are like wild and crazy and colorful, and then people don't kind of take the two in the same way. But if you have a business kind of casual aspect and you throw in some jokes there and you're very light with your humor, and then people can say, oh, I can see that because your avatar is right next to your tweet. So if you have a very serious picture with a very funny thing, it doesn't add up. That's why I saw a joke that John McCain put up and nobody liked it. Because he has built this reputation as a serious person and his avatar is serious, and all of a sudden he's making a joke about the border and everyone gets a little touchy. So when it comes to defining branding, I always like to say that it's the broken telephone's second message that you give to somebody. So it's the second message. So if I said, my name is Steve Dolson, I run social, luxury magazine, blah, 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 and if you were to say that to somebody else describing me, how good of a quality that message is how good your brand is, or how good you're articulating your brand is. So for example, if I say, oh yeah, I met this great person, her name is Jen, she's got pink hair, zebra glasses, and she's a hairstylist. Everyone's like, and then if I told my friend who's telling my other friend, they're gonna remember pink, zebra, hairstylist, and like graphic designer. They might not remember your name, but they might remember the good quality pieces about that, the good things that make you unique and different. So have that in mind when you're kind of developing your brand and who you want to go after too. So the next thing I want to talk about is goal setting, because goal setting is something that's kept me going for sure. Because you can work on your personal branding, but if you kind of don't have a direction with it, then you're getting stuck. So always have a direction no matter what you do, and always make it the next thing up. Because if Jay-Z, let's say, or name your favorite artist. Somebody name your favorite artist.
Pink.
Pink? All right, so Pink. So do you think Pink knew that she would sell 1 million records when she started?
No, probably not.
Probably not. So do you think Jay-Z would own a basketball team? Probably not. Has he wanted to?
Maybe.
Probably. And that was a goal of his. So everyone starts from the same way. Everyone starts from the same kind of humble beginnings as a child. as a toddler in their Fisher Price car to now owning